Did you ever wish you had a helping hand to guide you through the unclear waters of education? A hand which points you in the right direction, to ask the questions that you didn't even know you had to ask. Hi, I'm Soumya Reddy, the founder of A Leading Hand. This podcast is not about getting all the right answers, but asking the right questions, understanding the path forward through various perspectives and lived experiences of various personalities in the industry. Today we have Dr. Naveen Chandrashekhar, a professor in Mechanical and Mechatronics from the University of Waterloo. He has done his bachelor's from India and he has done his master's and PhD from Texas University in US. He's working in University of Waterloo since 2006. His area of research is in orthopedics biomechanics and has published more than 50 scientific papers. He was awarded the best professor from Pi Tau Sigma, a mechanical society, and he's also awarded recently the best professor from the Mechanical Department of University of Waterloo. We welcome Dr. Naveen Chandrashekhar.
Thank you very much, Soumya, for having me.
I'm sure being a professor and very known person in the community, you will receive frequent questions from students and aspiring high school students who want to enter into your field and also into University of Waterloo. So we just thought it is better for our viewers to have your opinions and some suggestions.
Yep, absolutely. Yes, I do get a lot of questions, and it's always better to have uh, kind of a program where I can answer most frequently asked questions.
Thank you very much. Jumping to our first question, how do students approach while choosing the majors? A lot of students, when they're into the high school, first grade 9 and 10, they're exploring the school. When by the time they come towards the end of grade 10, they're worried about how do I choose my major? I do not know.
Yes, this is one of the very important questions and one of the very frequently asked questions among the high school students. Okay, how do I choose my major? What is that I'm interested in? So they don't know a lot of times.
Yes.
So when choosing a major, students will have to primarily consider 3 points, in my opinion. One very important point, which often students who are in like North American context kind of like ignore is, can you make a career out of your university degree? Okay, so everyone wants to be an artist until the rent is due.
Yes.
So it is very important to make sure that whatever major that you're choosing is something that you can earn your livelihood from. Okay, so there's nothing wrong in being an artist or anything, but well, you need to be really good and kind of like make sure that you can earn a livelihood. So make sure the degree that you're obtaining is in demand, at least to a certain extent, and you can make a livelihood out of it. From my point of view, that is a very important thing. You don't want to end up jobless after your degree. So that's one thing. Second thing is the major that you're choosing, you need to have interest in it and passion in it. So there is no point in trying to be in a major which has fantastic career opportunity, but you absolutely hate and despise the field. Then there is no point in being in that major in spite of the career opportunities. So you need to have at least to a certain extent um, a bit of interest and passion in the field that you are planning to get the major in. Okay, so some people are interested in engineering, that's great. Some people are interested in like health sciences, that's great. But they need to have the right passion and interest in it. Otherwise, every day you are in university becomes a struggle. It is going to be like you are in a prison and you are like waiting to get out of it. So you don't want to be in that situation. So that is the second thing. Third one, the very important thing is, do you have what it takes to be in that major? That is, do you have the strength and background to be in that major? For example, a student who is not really good in math, not really good in physics, or they're not interested. They're good, but they don't really like math or physics. There is no point in them pursuing an engineering major because most of the engineering field, if not all of them, do require very strong mathematical skills. So, if math is not your strength, then don't be in engineering. There are other fields that do not require a lot of math. So, these three things are very important, and you need to choose your major with the right blend of these three: career opportunities, interest and passion, and finally, your academic strength. Based on that, the student will have to make an well informed and educated decision to choose their major.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think you narrowed down their options while saying, look at these three options, because usually when they start Googling, they're working around every page available, trying to understand, rather than looking inside. And it's a clear thing. Okay, look at your interests, look at the career opportunities, and look at the market right now.
Right. Yes.
So then make a decision. Thank you. Um, how does let's get into your area of expertise. Like, how does mechanical engineering look like? What do the students expect in the field of mechanical and mechatronics? It is from how is the subject and how is the career opportunity. So can we touch base a bit on that?
Yes, sure. So in mechanical engineering, major thing that you do is design, build, evaluate, and you do something very physical in nature. If you look around in this room or any other room, for example, you cannot find a single item that is not made using the principles of mechanical engineering. So, in mechanical engineering, we use the principles of math and physics to design new items, new objects, and we analyze them, we prototype them, and then we optimize them for the functionality that they are designed for. So it is a very hands-on field. So there are various subfields in mechanical engineering. One is solid mechanics. There is also fluid mechanics. What is fluid mechanics? It's basically aerodynamics. And then there is material science, how to engineer the material, make the material stronger or more flexible for that matter. And there is also heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. That is the field in mechanical engineering. And there is also various subfields such as like computational mechanics. All these kind of like come together to actually design and build new things that you see every day. It might be in a car, it might be in an airplane, it might be new biomedical devices, or like new heat exchanger, for example, like the one that you see in your houses. So all these things are built using the principles of mechanical engineering.
How do high school students explore their interests? Sometimes they might not be very sure about their interests or if they will be able to stick on to what their current interests are. So, how do you, any tips and suggestions on that?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a very important thing that every high school student needs to do, especially like in their grade 10 or even in grade 11, kind of like explore different fields and see what they're actually interested in. So, one major thing they could do is actually talk to the current students from various disciplines and ask what is the discipline is about and how do they like it and what do they exactly do during their university classes. So I mean, of course, everyone here does have like a social circle. So if you ask around, you can actually find at least one or two students in every discipline that you might be interested in. So make use of it. You can talk to people who are in a particular discipline, like in their first year, second year, or whatever, or someone who has already graduated and who are in a job related to that discipline. So that is another thing you could do. Like say, okay, well, you did this degree now. Do you really like the job that you're doing that is related to the degree? So that is another way of trying to understand what this particular discipline is about. And what a lot of students do not kind of like do is, if you're interested in a discipline, and if you're interested in university or whatever, like you can go to that university website and you can find what are the courses that student would take throughout their 4 year degree. And kind of like along, not just the names, there will be actually a calendar that says that, okay, these are the things that you will be taught in this course. And then you will try like understand, okay, well, in this course, for example, in mechanical engineering, students do take this course, and this course. Is this is something that I want to do in my bachelor's? So that is where you get like a lot of information. And another thing a lot of high school students don't know is these universities do have a shadowing program. So if you are in grade 11, or sorry, in grade 12, usually in fall, you can register for a shadowing program, and then you will be allowed to shadow a current student from your chosen discipline. Be with that student all the time. So then you will get to see how a typical day of a student in that discipline would look like. What would be their labs look like, what their classes look like, what do their workload looks like. So then that's going to give you even more information. And unfortunately, a lot of high school students don't know about it, and they don't take advantage of this. And there is also a lot of students know this, that is Ontario University's fair. So, so this is a really big fair that is held in Metro Toronto Convention Center, usually in October. And if you're in grade 10 or grade 11, I highly recommend that you attend it. And there you get to speak to current students and professors from various universities and various disciplines. And you'll have to make use of it. And another one I really like and recommend, and I don't see like anyone making use of it, is every university for their students in their fourth year have a capstone project. Okay, especially this is especially true in engineering. There is a capstone project. And these universities have a symposium or like an exhibition where these fourth year students do exhibit their capstone like fourth year projects. And the University of Waterloo did that just last week. So there, students from various disciplines do actually show what they did for their fourth year project. So the high school student will get a really good idea of what that discipline is, what students trained in that discipline can do. So it's on weekdays, it's an entire day, but even if the high school student has to skip half a day of their school for this, I would say it is worth it. And it is going to be like in University of Waterloo, it is like one day is mechanical engineering, next day is mechatronics, next day is software, system design engineering. So each discipline has a day where they have like a huge symposium of these capstone projects. So this is an extremely important resource. And I highly recommend students, like high school students, just going there and see what these projects are. And then they will understand what that discipline is about. So these are the things that students can actually do to be well informed before they choose their discipline.
Yeah, wonderful. I think a lot of these opportunities are kind of unknown to a
Unknown,
lot
yes,
of
yes.
our community.
That's right, yes, yep.
Yeah, thank you. Moving on, these are about academics. While in high school, what do you think are the other interests that the students can explore in order to get entry into maybe the better universities, or even improve or prepare themselves to get into the university?
Okay, so now some universities actually give a lot of importance to extracurricular activities, and some universities do not. For example, University of Waterloo Engineering, it gives a lot of importance to extracurricular activities. So when they receive the application, and there is your academic marks, but at the same time, there is also extracurricular activities. So they add more marks to your academic marks if your extracurricular activities are good. So then why is that? The reason is the University of Waterloo Engineering thinks that students will be more successful if they are well rounded, not just good in their academics, but they're also good in extracurricular activities. On the other hand, some universities, they just look at your academic marks. So, for example, I know that for sure, McMaster Engineering, they just look at your academic marks and they just offer you admission if they like it or not. So then, uh, you based on which university you're applying, the extracurricular activities are going to be important or not. Now, regardless, these extracurricular activities are going to help you to develop soft skills that are not necessarily taught in your high school. So, I highly recommend these extracurricular activities. And what are the type of extracurricular activities the universities like? Especially, I'm going to talk about it from the point of view of University of Waterloo Engineering. Now, University of Waterloo Engineering looks at a few things. One is if you are applying for a discipline, are your extracurricular activities prepare you well for the discipline that you're applying for? For example, if you're applying for University of Waterloo Mechatronics, for example, okay, mechatronics is nothing but primarily robotics. So, and if the student is in a robotics team and all these first robotics competition, etc., well, it is extracurricular, but at the same time, it is relevant to the discipline that you are applying for. So, then that's going to be really be helpful in your application to kind of be in that kind of extracurricular activity. But at the same time, there are other activities. Okay, for example, leadership activities. Okay, so and volunteering activities. For example, if a person is applying for University of Waterloo Biomedical Engineering program, and your volunteering is primarily in hospitals. Great. Okay. So it is kind of like relevant to the discipline that you're applying for. So that will really help in the application. But at the same time, like there are like not related to discipline, but that's going to develop your soft skills. For example, that's something like shared value program where you're going to improve your leadership skills. And there are also like sports. Okay, well, you might think, oh, well, sports is like not relevant to the discipline, but no, that's not the case. Sports is something that is very important for the mind too, right? So if you're in a sport and you're represented your high school, you're represented province or Canada or whatever, that is going to be extremely important and kind of like is going to strengthen your application. And a lot of people think that, okay, University of Waterloo Engineering has nothing to do with fine arts. No, not really. If a person is good in their fine arts, okay, so for example, if they are in a band, for example, okay, so if they are into any of these cultural dances and have done something substantial in that area, that's going to also help them in the application because universities think, okay, this person is a well-rounded person and they will be very successful in the engineering program. Especially at Waterloo, the reason is University of Waterloo Engineering is a co-op program. So in order to be successful in a co-op program, it's not just your math that is important. Every other semester, you will have to pass interviews to get your co-op job. So that is where your soft skills come into picture.
Picture.
So it's very important for the students to develop the all-round personality. But on the other hand, it is totally understandable that some universities do not care about all these extracurricular activities. They just
Go with
care
the
about
academics.
the academics. But even then, some of the soft skills that you develop during your high school are going to be very useful to actually be successful in university, regardless of if the university actually considers it or not.
Oh, yeah. I think the whole concept of volunteering in high school, the purpose of it is that,
Yes.
where the students kind of explore the various industries and
Right.
then volunteer, explore the industries. So they kind of are able to understand whether, okay, am I interested in that area or not? For example, there are debate clubs and the DECA clubs and all in high school where the student gets to understand whether law is something he will be interested in, which he wouldn't otherwise be exposed to unless he gets into university.
That's absolutely important. Those programs during high school are going to be very important while choosing the discipline.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. There was the next question of, okay, once the student gets into the university, like what is the first thing that you wish they had learned in high school? Like they have come in and then you see the first year students and you have some of them who are like, oh, this guy is prepared or he's doing fairly well because he had prepared himself, or some academically or the personal interest or something that they can do when they get into university.
You know what? Like, there is not one thing. It is like different for different students. So, fortunately, here at University of Waterloo, we get what I would call cream of the crop. So we get like really good high school students, and they all have like really good academic record and also extracurricular activities. But what I see is sometimes once they come here, even a student who has been scoring more than 95% in the high school, some of them, after they come here, they lose their way. Okay, so the reason for it, from what I have observed casually, this is not a formal study or anything, is that some of these students kind of have their newfound freedom now. Okay, so they are away from their parents. Their parents are not kind of like monitoring them, monitoring their study habits, and they think, oh, well, I'm in university now. I can enjoy my free time. And that is where actually they lose their way. And I have seen some like really bad situations where students were like really good in the grade 12, but they're kind of like on the verge of failing their first year. Okay, so it is not kind of like unheard of. And from what I see, the major issue is that they have lost their good habits that got into the university. Okay, so as our former dean of University of Waterloo, who passed away a few years ago, said, you worked, she used to give a speech to first year students saying that you worked so hard to get into University of Waterloo. Now you need to work harder to get out of it. So, yes. So they shouldn't lose their way. As long as they keep their way, then they like kind of like be consistent with their study habits, they will be very successful at the university. So first year students, well, there is a lot of help actually available at the university. They'll have to make use of it, and then they will be successful.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it is just the freedom, as you said, the right word that they get. And probably, okay, I have put in my efforts and I've got into a good university. Maybe I can relax.
Exactly. Yes. No, actually, you had to work harder.
Yes, yes. I think it has to become a habit for them.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Being disciplined is a habit. So once they are into it, I think they're just going to win through the entire course.
Exactly. Yes. That's correct. Yes.
Awesome. There was one more thing that next I wanted to ask. Like, after undergrad, how will the career be, and who should actually perceive to go into masters or PhD, and how does career or your opportunities change after, or can they cut down at undergrad and be happy with it? Like, how do we balance kind of a thing there?
Absolutely. It all depends upon their personal situation. If they really want to start earning money right after their graduation, yes, they should just go find a job. But some students, they would be really interested in the discipline itself and more into what I would call
Subject.
research and development. If a student is interested in research and development, if they have passion for research, only then they should pursue their master's or doctoral education. Now, how do they know if they are really interested in their research and development? There are opportunities for that in during their undergraduate education. Okay, so for example, if it is a co-op program or if it is not a co-op program, during their summer, they can do internship in a research lab of a professor. So they can approach professors and they can either volunteer or they can get paid for their work. So they will be usually be helping our current masters or PhD students, and then they will get to know, okay, what is research and do I really like research or not? Based on that, they can make an educated decision or well-informed decision on if they want to pursue master's or a doctoral degree. So after their masters, they will have to again reevaluate their choices and they will have to decide if they want to do a PhD or not. So a few things that they need to consider. One is that during their graduate degree, they are not going to earn much at all. So during their master's or even their PhD, they'll be given a small stipend just to make sure that they stay alive. But that's not going to be comparable to what they would earn if they were in a real industrial job. And in addition to that, research and development do require a lot of patience and a lot of passion in that. So, and more importantly, contrary to what people think, your job opportunities actually become narrower if you pursue masters or even narrower if you pursue a PhD because you become more specialized in an area. So if you become more specialized in an area, you will be hired to that specialized job and that specialized job might not exist in the region that you want to work in or in the country that you want to work in. So that can create a little bit of problem when it comes to job opportunities. So it is not always, oh, well, I do my master's, do 2 more years of schooling, I'm going to earn more money and my job opportunities increase, though that's not necessarily the case.
Okay.
It depends on the field and depends upon the industry, etc.
Wonderful.
Sorry.
Coming to the next one about your own career as a professor. I just want to explore like how is your kind of what is your take on being a professor, like from your lifestyle to as a career to.
Okay. So yes, good that you asked because a lot of students in their like masters or PhD, when I ask them what do they want to be, they say, oh, well, I want to become a professor. A few things that need to be considered. So in order to be a professor, one needs to, of course, do a bachelor's, then a master's, and then a PhD. Would that be enough? Unfortunately, no. Right now, a professor applicant is kind of expected to have at least 2 years, maybe up to 4 years of postdoctoral research experience. And they should have published a lot of papers in the field. And as I said, like once you earn your PhD, you become more specialized and more specialized. So, especially here in Canada, the job opportunities are very less in the academic field. One needs to be really good in research, should have published a lot of papers to get a professor job. And the time it takes, if you consider 4 years of bachelor's, 2 years of master's, another 4, maybe 5 years of doctoral study, that is PhD. And on top of that, 2 to 4 years of postdoctoral research experience. Wow. So by the time the student kind of be eligible to be a professor would be like they would be at least like 31, 32, 33 years of age. So that is when you actually start earning money. So that is something that students need to be prepared for. Yeah. But once you land in a professor job, it is a really good job to be in. The reason is in North America, that's US and Canada, we have really good academic freedom. So that means that any course we teach, we can teach it in a way we find it suitable. We design our own curriculum. And we design our own teaching methodology. We design our own exams. We give our own grades. Awesome. So it's a really good academic freedom. Nobody can actually tell us how to teach a course, for example. And contrary to what a lot of people think, a main job of a professor is not teaching. It is actually research. On average, we teach only 3 hours a week. Wow. Yeah, 3 hours a week. So what do we do the rest of the time? The rest of the time, it's not our main job is not only teaching knowledge, but it is also creating new knowledge. So what is creating new knowledge? It is research. So what do we do most of the time? We write grant applications. We write grant applications to industry. We write grant applications to government. And we obtain funds to conduct research. And these funds, we cannot get paid from those funds. The university is already paying us the salary. So what do we do with these funds? We purchase research equipment, supplies, and we give a stipend to our graduate students. So when you get into admission, when you get an admission to a master's or a PhD, you will be working under a professor. So that professor will give a stipend. So, and we guide our master's and PhD students on what to do, how to do things. And once they do it, we work with them to publish that research through scientific papers, journal articles. So this is our main job. So it does offer a lot of flexibility. So we can work 16 hours a day if we want to, or we can say, oh, well, no, I'm going to work only 8 hours a day. That's going to be it. So nobody kind of like forces us to do what we want to do. So yes, it does give a lot of freedom, lot of flexibility, but on the other hand, there is a lot of responsibilities. It is like running a small business. Yes. I have like 5 or 6 students that I need to take care of. I need to pay their salary. That means I need to bring that money. Yes. Okay? It is like running a small business. So there is a lot of responsibility in there. And by the time you start earning money, you're already like 32 years old. Yes. So like 10 years older than a person who just did their bachelor's and got into an industry. Yes. Yeah, it is the higher the fruit, the more the work. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. As long as they're interested and want to pursue, I think it's a good option. Yes. Sure. Well, being a professor does require you to have really good communication skills. Yes. It is nothing worse than being a bad teacher. In front of a class of 150 students, you don't know how to speak in a public atmosphere. Being a professor is not a job for you. Yeah. So that is extremely important. Yeah. With the changing times and the AI evolution that's happening so rapidly, what do you think is the impact on your industry, where mechanical and mechatronics? How will AI have an impact, and what is the future that we are looking at? It's a very good question, actually. And I do have a lot of concerned parents and high school students calling me and asking the same question. Now, we live in a very uncertain time. Okay, so as you said, the evolution is still happening and things are changing rapidly. So the question is, okay, what is the effect on that of AI on mechanical and mechatronics engineering? Now, if there exists a field that is kind of like minimally affected by at least the current status of AI, that would be actually mechanical and mechatronics engineering. A lot of things that we do as mechanical engineers is kind of like very difficult to be replaced by kind of like an AI bot or something like that. Okay, so it's very difficult, at least with the current state of what AI is. So now every field is affected, every field will be affected, but mechanical and mechatronics engineering is probably one of the fields that would be minimally affected. If anything, we will use it as an advantage to actually streamline the process and kind of like do things faster. In other words, we use AI as a tool to do mechanical engineering and mechatronics engineering more efficiently. Now, to this effect, we do actually have courses in AI and machine learning in mechanical engineering. It is actually a fourth year elective where students are introduced to the current state of AI and machine learning and kind of like introduced to how this tool can be used for mechanical engineers. And at University of Waterloo Engineering, while being in a major like mechanical engineering or mechatronics engineering or any other engineering for that matter, a student could also do an option. An option is like a minor. They take an extra course, not an extra course, a bunch of extra courses, and they get like an option saying that, okay, a bachelor's of applied science and mechanical engineering with option in so and so. And machine learning or artificial intelligence is actually one of the options. So if the student is like really interested in artificial intelligence, they can do an option in artificial intelligence while being in one of the engineering programs at Waterloo.
Wonderful. That kind of gives them some insight into what AI in this field has a future.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. I think that was a great insight into mechanical, mechatronics, and as a professor. And coming to the end of this, I just had one question.
Sure.
If you want the high school students to remember you by just one sentence, what would that be?
That would be, during your high school, learn how to learn. Okay, that is the most important thing. You will forget everything that you learned in the high school, but the learning skills is what you would carry over to the university. So learn how to learn during your high school and do not forget it during the university. That will make you successful in the university.
That's a wonderful single statement. I think something that can go on the wall. Learn to learn, which is never ending, not only for students, but every human being in general.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers, for listening to us today. Hope you had some of your questions answered. If you have any further questions or clarifications from Dr. Naveen, please feel free to mail. I'm going to point the mail ID below. Send us the queries and we will get them addressed to you. If you have any particular questions or any particular topic that you would like me to create a podcast, feel free to mail me. Thank you. See you next time with another guest.